Hey, this is Faye, and today we are going to draw some fan art while I talk a little bit about lore. Random facts that I found interesting and that you may or may not know, vaguely relating to the character that I'm drawing. And today's living subject is Raen. Say hi, Raen. Raen is a Xaela, but as the astute observer will note, he's dressed like a ninja, making it seem like he's raised in an Hingan-Doman culture instead. Now, the very astute and even argumentative person might even argue that a ninja shouldn't look anything like a ninja because you shouldn't be able to look at a ninja and be able to tell that they're a ninja, which I guess explains the entire Naruto franchise, come to think about it. But I guess it's also more the fact that the midnight-scaled AuRa generally hail from the Azim Steppe. However, this concept neatly allows for me to talk a little bit about both the different clans of AuRa and a bit about the cultures that they're a part of. If there is any interest in me making more videos about the Raen or the Xaela specifically, please poke me about it. The AuRa are quite interesting, and this race was made for Final Fantasy XIV and introduced in the Heavensward expansion, but teased before with Yugiri Mistwalker. They may look draconian, but this race is described as Hyur-like and is not related to actual dragons at all. First off, the big sexual dimorphism between the males and the females is absolutely not seen in dragons. And secondly, and more importantly, their scales and horns are different, with the horns providing them with a different sense of hearing and spatial awareness, which is also not seen in dragons. The extra good sense of spatial recognition and hearing the horns afford comes from, as far as I've been able to understand at least, the fact that the horns are hollow and allows for sound to be enhanced through air vibrations. Their hearing is about as good as a normal hearer's according to the lore panel, but they just hear differently. And it does give them a better idea of space, so kind of like dolphin style or bat style, air vibration stuff, echolocation, I guess. Also, if these horns get broken or cut off, they will slowly grow back until they reach their actual max shape. There are, just like with so many other races in the game, more clans than what we can play. But the two most noticeable clans, and the clans that we can actually make, are the Black Midnight-scaled Xaela and the Golden Dawn White-scaled Raen. There is supposedly this other clan of AuRa that was teased at a lore panel, which is different and older, but the answer was cut off by Yoshi P, so unless these are the AuRa that we see in the Alexander raid, we may not know exactly what their plans were for these. Maybe we haven't seen them yet. The Raen and the Xaela are separated in many ways, one of which being in their choice of deity, though the clan have a sort of yin-yang kind of deity duo, where it's just a matter of whom are you generally worshipping. Now, the Xaela generally prefer Nama, the Dusk Mother, and the Raen generally prefer Azim, the Dawn Father. But both are to various degrees valid options in certain circumstances, and this belief in these creating deities seem more pronounced in the steppe, where it isn't so much influenced by other dominant cultures, and the legends that there are with Nama and Azim are reflected in a lot of the geographical names and places. But none of these two clans seem to believe in the 12, and there is a fun in-lore story about that, shared by the Los Angeles lore panel. I'll put a link to this in the description, it's actually really good. It's a story about Oldenard, Ilsebard, and Offard, the three continents, but in this story they are three brothers. So, the legend is told in Eorzea that Oldenard, Ilsebard, and Offard were these three really tight-knit brothers. They made a pact that they would stick together and they would stay together forever. This was, of course, until Offard and Ilsebard saw that Oldenard, for some reason, got all of the cool stuff. They had all of the resources and all of the fertile lands and all of the beautiful landscapes and possibly also more of the magic. And so the two wanted to betray him and move away, and so they left poor Oldenard all alone. They broke off and they left him. However, you don't betray your brother out of petty jealousy and get away with it. So the 12 saw this, and then they decided that they would only bless Oldenard and not Offard and Ilsebard, which is why Oldenard is the blessed continent. This legend is supposed to explain why the belief in the 12 is limited to Eorzea, and also maybe why the blessing of the 12s and the magic more keenly related to them isn't spread outside of Eorzea. It is a myth, but we may not know if there is a grain of truth in it, mythologically speaking. At any rate, the Alfadians have the kami, which, as far as I've been able to tell, works very much like the actual Eastern real-life kami. And this seems to be what the Raen generally believe in, as they have assimilated more to the culture that they're a part of. The Xaela are generally found exclusively on the Azim steppe and their fringe areas, where there are over 50 different tribes. The MSQ only shows us a handful, and I guess it would be absolutely overwhelming if the steppe was the actual size that it was supposed to have and we could find all 50 plus tribes on it, because even scaled down, the place feels massive and it still feels like there are a lot of different tribes to keep track of. But there are 50 plus tribes, and going through some of the fun tribes that you may not have heard of, there is for instance the Torgod, who do not wear any clothes but rather paint their bodies with white paint made from mud, lime and bone meal. And there is the Kakol, a tribe made out of orphans from different, sometimes obliterated tribes. There's the Gessi, who are the masters of the sling spear, like these. There is the Horo, who, in an effort to look bigger and heavier than they actually are, will drink a lot of water to inflate their bellies. Then there is the Jungud and the Kalu, who are locked in a constant rivalry, being the second and the third largest tribe, resulting in an annual battle for a piece of eastern coastland. The largest tribe is by far the Adarkim, who might not be that skilled, but damn, they are many. As you have no doubt noticed by now, the Xaela are very much based on the real-life Mongols and Huns, and they do share a lot of their words, names, foods and traditions, for instance the Nadam. The Raen are the AuRa who went away from their ancestral home to settle all over Afart, most noticeably in Yangsha, Doma, Hingashi, and for those who didn't want to sell their martial prowess, the Suino-Sato underwater city. They were not really welcome to begin with though, and this was until a warlord in Yangsha saw the potential in their valor and took them in as retainers. Since then, Raens have been in fashion and steadily spreading as warriors in service of great warlords. Some Hingashian Raens have even become legendary swordsmen. However, the Raen lore is, unlike the Xaela lore, not quite as unique and self-contained, but rather the Raen are such an integrated part of the Dome and Hingan culture that their cultures might as well be equated to one another. A lot of the big ninja families are actually Raen, according to the 2018 Las Vegas lore panel, and this makes a lot of sense to me, considering that the AuRa have this better sense of spatial awareness and spatial placements and whatnot, like making it a lot easier to ninja around in the night, I guess. I mean, I can imagine quite easily how I'd be ninjaing around in the night, and that would involve a lot of bruises and knocked over furniture, so extra spatial awareness would be a plus. The Xaela are actually the only one of the two AuRa clans that still speak the Ori language, because the Raen have largely assimilated the culture and language of wherever they went, so in this case a lot of them will speak the Eastern tongue. The lore panel specified that Hingan and Doman are actually not separate languages, but are more akin to regional variations of the same language, so kind of think of it as British English and American English. One of them is the original language and the other one is how that language came to be after it'd been geographically separated for a while, so how it developed into something slightly different. And I think that is about what we can cram into an overview video if I want to keep it around 10 minutes. I hope that there were some tidbits of lore in there that you found interesting, and I think the drawing turned out pretty well too. Either way, thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you will have a really lovely day. Bye! Hey, you still here? Then maybe this is for you. You are a great and wonderful person. Not just because you clicked my video, but because you are you. And I'm pretty sure that being you is not always super easy. So maybe it's you that needs to hear this today. Be your own best friend today. You're not defined by what you do or what you achieve, but by who you are. I know you know this, but sometimes you need to hear this. And you don't always have to be so hard on yourself. So ask yourself if you would be as harsh to a friend who was going through the same thing you were. Treat yourself with the same level of compassion and understanding. And have a really lovely day. Bye.